So the shadow is, simply put, the parts of ourselves that we find difficult to confront. If we like to be seen as very, very kind and always adopting that image of kindness, then the shadow is likely to consist of some kind of whatever the opposite of that is, this image of unkindness. But of course, there's actually pros and cons to each of those. I put a negative spin there on whatever this part is, this energy over here in the shadow, and I put a positive spin on whatever this energy is over here in the persona. But that's actually not comparing apples with apples, because there is a positive aspect to this energy of the shadow, and there is a negative aspect to the energy of the persona. For example, the ability to practice legitimate self-care. Well, if you're not careful, it might look like selfishness, it might look like unkindness. And if you're attached to how the image of kindness looks like, then the image of unkindness is going to be quite unpalatable. And likewise, there might actually be some great dangers in this energy that takes the form of kindness on one hand, but can also take the form of extreme selflessness on the other hand. And that inability to genuinely look after yourself or stand up for yourself, it ceases to really be kindness. So you can think of these as like energies rather than isolated traits. But a key point there is that there is this opposition going on between the persona and the shadow. If you want to be sage-like, you don't want to be ignorant. If you want to be strong and heroic, you don't want to ever appear weak and needy, perhaps. So there is that opposition. It is bound by the energy of this resistance because we have learned at some point not to be a certain way or not to experience a certain feeling, not to desire in a certain way. We might have certain ideas that we have learned or been taught are bad, and maybe we have so much adoration for those that taught us that we've pretty much taken it and swallowed it wholesale. So it's a totally natural thing, especially because these things form largely in the first 6 or 7 years of life. But make no mistake, they continue to occur. This is a constant process that's going on. It's likely it probably continues on some level throughout the first half of life, and that one thing that defines the movement into the second half of life is not necessarily age, it's the propensity to look at the shadow and to start bringing that shadow on board.